I think I definitely do feel part of that 97%, and sadly, I really wasn't surprised by that number at all. Most women have a story or know a friend that has a story.
Yes, I am part of the 97%, and I hope that this statistic and recent events can raise the profile of this issue and encourage greater education in schools, and that this energy really continues.
I'm not surprised, because sexual harassment is something that is so ingrained in our society. I have been harassed many times on a night out with my friends, and the next thing I know, someone comes up to me and tries to put their hands down my pants. And it's something that happens here, it happens to us, it happens to people you know, by people you know.
Going for a run in Bristol, you almost anticipate being catcalled or something occurring.
Unfortunately, I do feel part of the 97%. Almost all my friends I know who've experienced some sort of sexual harassment in their lives, and we're not that old, which is terrifying as well.
It's a societal issue. Probably you've already read the report that actually one of our former Bristol students did 2 years ago. So the Revolt Sexual Assault Survey. In that survey, she found out that 62% of students had experienced sexual violence while they were at university. And of those, 57% knew the person who'd done that to them. And in 75% of those cases, it was another student. There is a very low percentage of students or people in the general population who feel that they can report these crimes. We're talking about maybe 10% of people. So all of us have a responsibility to increase confidence in our reporting systems.
No, I don't feel safe walking alone at night around Bristol. It feels like a case of when rather than if.
I don't think I feel safe anywhere walking alone at night. It's never like, oh, okay, I'm just going to walk home by myself, it'll be fine. It's right, phone in one hand, in my pocket so they don't see that I've got my phone, keys in the other hand. It's not a calm walk. You're constantly on edge until you get through the door and lock it. So then you're like, okay, well, I'll spend money on an Uber to get home. But then that's not always safe when you're by yourself. And then, it's a whole ordeal. So then you're like, okay, well, then I'm not going out.
Normally, I just call a friend or even fake a phone call to a friend.
When I had got to Park Street, a man started following me. He actually approached me and started walking right next to me. I sped up, I kept walking, and he speeds up as well. And I said, no, leave me alone. And I had to dramatically increase my pace. I had to really speed up so that I could put some distance between me and this man and show him that I wasn't worth chasing. It's the sort of situation that shouldn't have happened in the first place.
I think Bristol is a relatively safe city, but once it's dark, you definitely subconsciously take the precautions. It can be kind of exhausting.
I suppose it's been really positive seeing some of the things going around of what men can do to make women feel safer. Not walking too close at night, crossing the road. The amount of times I've sprinted from one side of the road to the other.
Sexual violence, it's like an umbrella term that covers all of these types of misogynistic behaviours, and it starts with, inappropriate comments, inappropriate attitudes, and then it escalates up to these types of horrific incidents. Over the last 2 years, we've done some work with the Students' Union to raise awareness about respect, to raise awareness about the importance of consent, but that is something that we are planning to do more work on, especially for the start of next year, during welcome period, for example. Every student, when they start university, should have this information. So again, that's something that I'll commit to. If we could come together and plan some joint campaigns, I think that would be really, really great.
The reason I say no is because I can't actually think of a time when the university has educated people on what to do as a bystander. I think that there is something to be said for the university not covering just their own bases. Like sexual harassment and sexual assault is not necessarily going to happen in a tutorial or in a lecture, when it tends to be places like a nightclub or a pub. And in my experience, I was walking past a table at a pub and someone grabbed me and I confronted them about it, and the most harrowing part of the experience was that there were other people at the table who had no idea what to say or do. I think that the university needs to do more to educate people on what they could be doing as bystanders and how to be actively tackling harassment.
Don't know enough about the support and report system, and I think that's part of the issue in a way. I don't think that they publicise the support systems that are out there enough.
But it needs to be practical and preventative to stop future attacks. So maybe we should set up a society about talking to people in vulnerable situations, and sharing their location and just making sure people get back home safe.
Well, I know of quite a few of my friends who've gone to the uni with issues and they haven't done really anything about it, which is, it's just awful. But also, I'm not aware of what they're even trying to do, and I feel like if they were doing a good job, I'd know, because they'd be making everyone aware.
All our members of staff in the wellbeing team and the residential life team have had specific training to support people who've experienced sexual violence or sexual harassment. And the sexual violence liaison officer would work with them to give them the confidence to take those next steps if that's what they wanted to do. Students can access this support in the same way as any other wellbeing support, just by going online. They can fill in an online form and write, what the issue is if they feel able to do that. Or alternatively, they can ring up, speak to an advisor and talk to them. But we know, like I said before, how difficult it is to report these things. But since this new support system has been in place, we have seen an increase in the number of students reporting. If more students are coming forward to report, that's a good thing. All cases are not shared with the police. It is really important to know that the person reporting, the survivor, remains in control of what happens. We also know that, unfortunately, the conviction rates through the police are really shockingly low, and that's another issue. And then actually going through that reporting process, going through the criminal justice process can actually be re-traumatizing for a lot of people. The only thing I think I do need to have to say is that we also do need to be very careful about what's happening on our campuses. So if, for example, we saw there was repeated behaviours of one person, that would raise some alarm bells for us. And in those types of cases, there could be the situation when we would have to report it to the police. But if that happened, we would again talk to the people who'd made that report, explain to them why we needed to do this, and work with them to ensure that they felt supported throughout. We would have a responsibility really to ensure that everyone was safe and that appropriate action was taken. So they wouldn't lead on the support, but they might be the first people on the scene. So for example, if something happened at 2 o'clock in the morning, a student could always ring the security team. And I think it's important to stress the training that the security team have had to support students. They've had a lot of training. So they are there, again, to listen, to advise, and to make sure that that student is supported at that time. I think we've all been shocked by what's happened, and it's really brought home the experiences of so many women every day. And, Sarah Everard is really shocking, but I think I would also like to say at this point, there are lots of other women who have experienced this, whose names we don't know. And I would like to take a moment to actually reflect on that and to think about every woman that's been affected by these terrible types of incidents. you know, even sometimes in their own home. You know, during lockdown, we know that there has been an increase in domestic violence. So I'm not saying that's it, we've done enough. It's something that we have to continue to review. It'll be really important, I think, to carry on working with our students, working with the Students' Union. So just having someone to talk to rather than keeping it inside, that is so important. If we feel able to speak out, that is so important, because there's a lot of other people who can't speak out.